Hello viewers, hope you are doing well. Today in this video we are going to understand the concept of anti-money laundering. For that purpose, we need to understand first the concept of money laundering. The term money laundering refers to activities and financial transactions that are undertaken with the specific aim of hiding the true source of the original funds. Commonly, this relates to dirty money gained from illegal activities being cleaned to give the funds the appearance of coming from a legitimate source. This is an essential process for the criminals who have raised large sums of money from illegal activities as it distances them from income generated from those activities, and in turn it allows them to spend the proceeds of their crimes without attracting attention of the authorities. The term money laundering was coined in the famous 1920s gangsters era of American history. Between gambling, prostitution, and sales of prohibition alcohol, there was a lot of cash that required laundering. In other words, a method or methods had to be developed so that the government did not become suspicious about the true nature of a gangster funds. The major headache that gangsters faced was that the money they earned was in the form of cash currency and often in small denomination bills or coins. If the funds were put into the bank, then questions would be asked by the bank and ultimately the government. Further, storing large amounts of money in low value coins is a physical and logistic nightmare. So the gangsters created businesses, one of which involved slot machines and another of which was laundromats. The coins could be used to gamble and to wash clothes, of course. The number of coins actually used far exceeded the true amount gambled or used at the laundromat, and it was made to appear that more gambling or more clothes were washed than actually were. And so it is said the term money laundering was born. While the term money laundering has been around since the early 20th century, the ideas and economics of money laundering have been around for thousands of years. 4,000 years ago, in China and other Asian countries, ruling parties took advantage of merchants to get more funds. In turn, the merchants became skilled at moving money around without it being identified and seized. Money laundering is the practice of integrating the proceeds of crime into the legitimate mainstream of the financial community by concealing its origin. Various countries may have additional stipulations in order to prosecute lawbreakers. In other, more simplistic terms, money laundering is making dirty money appear to be legitimate. That's why it's called laundering, as in cleaning. Money laundering may appear to many people like a sophisticated international game of intrigue and mystery, a chess match between good and bad, and to the victor goes the spoils. But make no mistake about it, there are some evil people behind the act of money laundering. Quite often, there is a fatal outcome to those engaged in or surrounded by money laundering. Think drug cartels, corrupt politicians, bureaucrats, and terrorist organizations that have a lot of money to launder. So, by definition, money laundering is the practice of integrating the proceeds of criminal enterprises into the legitimate main stream of the financial community. So it's all about making bad money appear legitimate. That is a simple and wonderful definition. However, we can hear you now. So what? Big deal. Why should we care? We plan to respond to all those questions, but let's start with a basic question. Why does a bad guy have to launder his money in the first place? Bad guys need to launder for several reasons. The one reason may be the legitimate financial system is perhaps the safest place for the bad guy to keep his fortune. Believe it or not, if bad guy A kept his loot under that mattress, then guaranteed bad guy B would rip him off. Honor among thieves, no such thing. One more reason the bad guy needs to move the money around the globe quickly. That is exactly what banks and money service businesses are set up to do in terms legitimately. One more another reason could be the bad guy with his newfound fortune that is a result of whatever dastardly deeds he has committed finds himself in a position where he cannot go spending his money haphazardly. Doing so would bring suspicion upon him by neighbors, businesses, gatekeepers, financial institutions, and government agencies. Those people would say, how did this guy make so much money that affords him his lifestyle? Once the government begins to dig under the rocks, they would find no means of income for Mr. Bad Guy. Then they would seriously examine his credentials and his ability to have made all that money. For all of you anti money laundering purists out there, we can add one more element to the definition of money laundering that is usually left out. The Palermo Convention defines money laundering as follows: the conversion or transfer of property, knowing it is derived from a criminal offense, for the purpose of concealing or disguising its illicit origin, or of assisting any person who is involved in the commission of the crime to evade the legal consequences of his actions. The Palermo Convention is a resolution adopted by the United Nations Convention against Transactional Organized Crime that was held in Palermo in country Italy in 2000. Note the key word in that code, knowing. In other words, some players such as Smurfs, Mules, Reshippers, or some other low-level wannabe bad guy may not actually be considered money launderers. For example, someone might be given the job to pick up at JFK Airport. He is told to drive the car to the Paramus Park Mall in New Jersey, park in the back of Lot 7 and wait for a blue dodgy minivan. When the minivan arrives, they park next to each other and a couple of suitcases are switched from one car to another. The driver of the minivan has orders to drive to another location and follow further instructions. So, what is going on here? It could be a lot of different things with various endings. However, the main concept here is that none of these drivers knows what is going on or what their load is. They are just collecting a few dollars for obeying instructions and driving a car from here to there without any idea of what's in the vehicle or suitcase. Now, if the load is illegally obtained the money, they did they know? Can they therefore be charged with money laundering? Depending upon the circumstances and any outstanding evidence, probably not. Interestingly, mules, people whose job it is to simplify transport illegal goods, whether money, guns, or drugs, have been used for thousands of years. One of the first usages of encrypted messages dates back thousands of years to the ancient Roman Empire, when a coded message needed to be sent, keeping in mind that sending a message hundreds of miles might take several weeks. The head of a messenger, a mule, would be shaved. The message would be tattooed on to his head and his hair allowed to grow back, and then he was sent on his way. If he were to be stopped by the enemy, he appeared to carry no messages. Upon his arrival at his destination, his head would be shaved and the message would be delivered. So, this concept has been going on for a long time. That is what we call a time tested procedure. Professional money launderers are smart to use mules so they can limit the amount of information that any one person in their employ has. In AML and in particular in fraud, we talk a lot about the separation of duties. Well, in any self respecting drug dealing operation, the money and the drugs never meet, nor do the mules have any clue what anyone else is doing. This limits the damage when law enforcement crashes their party.